This is
Kensington.
Kensington Ave.
It has the largest open-air drug market in the country.
the epicenter of America's addiction crisis, a place some people call zombieland.
Kensington has become a genre on YouTube.
A symbol of chaos and desperation.
Xylazine is rampant throughout the drug supply.
But they never tell the backstory, nor do they show any hope or solutions.
It impacts people to have people living outside on the street.
Behind the sensationalized videos are real people, each with a story, struggle, and a deep desire for something better.
I am 36 years old and I'm learning who I am for the first time in my whole life.
It's not a getting high. It's just so we're not sick.
The plan is to get a place, to get working again, to get back in touch with my kids.
Today we're going to show if we just helped our neighbors, we can help them go from homeless to homeowner.
I just bought a house.
People deserve the opportunity to make change.
I have 11 months sober right now. I think it's important that people talk about relapse if that is a part of their story. I depended on drugs every day for 20 years. The fact that I have used a drug 3 times in 2.5 years is huge before I even became unhoused. That's how I connected with Prevention Point. I started coming down here to look into treatment, and Prevention Point just stayed in my life consistently, from before I came unhoused to the few years that I was unhoused, and throughout my sobriety as well. Prevention Point is a multi-service public health organization. We are first and foremost a harm reduction organization, the syringe service program. It is the hub to all of the other spokes and services we provide. People are using substances. They need to stay alive. They need clean and sterile equipment.
We've been using Prevention Point for, I guess, about 4 years now. So when we first started using, we never had clean needles. We were always using the same needles because we didn't know about the needle exchange. And people don't realize how much harm reduction actually is a help, and how places like Prevention Point and shelters actually are helping people, because the alternative is what they're seeing right now, is people using on the streets and stuff.
Harm reduction is under attack. Harm reduction saves lives. Harm reduction saves taxpayer money. Harm reduction helps all of us.
Since I was 13, I got abused by a family member, so I started with weed and Percocet and stuff. My parents passed away of cancer, so I didn't have nowhere to go. That's how I became homeless.
Beacon House is our 24-hour low-barrier shelter program. We are currently housing 69 individuals experiencing homelessness and substance use disorder in the Kensington community. So things like curfews, things like sobriety requirements have been removed so that people can remain engaged in the program and its services.
I cried when I got in here. I was just relieved and happy that I didn't have to be on the streets anymore. But I struggled here, in the beginning. Wasn't used to it. So I still went out, because you're allowed out 24 hours. So I still went out at nighttime, because I wasn't used to being in a bed or anything like that. And then I got used to it. It took me a couple months. I don't want to use anymore. I want to get clean. I'm only using 3 bags a day, and I use the fentanyl and trank and meth. But it went down from a bundle or 2 a day to 3 bags a day, so I'm really trying.
How many bags are in a bundle?
It depends. Some are 16, some are 17. Yeah.
So you dropped from 16 bags to 3 bags?
Yeah. Just being around people, staff members that care.
Sometimes people say yes to what we offer day one. Sometimes it's 100 offers. This is a place where you can come and be yourself, and in a stigma-free, non-judgmental space, get what you need.
Kensington has the largest open-air drug market in the country. The shelter provides a safe space for people to become grounded and to become focused. When we first moved the shelter into Beacon House, the first 2 weeks, all the participants just slept. People need a place just to rest.
Sleeping in a tent, you never got peaceful sleep because you always had to worry about just so dangerous. And coming into the shelter, being able to sleep peacefully, showers, they gave us a mailbox to use, our wash clothes.
So welcome to the Prevention Point Clinic. Every patient of our clinic is also getting support from a case manager or navigator who is looking at things like, are you housed right now? How can we connect you to homeless outreach and other housing? Do you have food resources? How can we connect you to food? Do you have mental health needs? Have you been seeing a mental health provider? Let's reconnect you. All of the medical care is addressing the whole person and their other needs. We can't get people off the street without housing, without units, and without addressing the whole person.
Usually it's way quieter. Some people have been out here like 10 years, you know, and the longer you're out here, the less, I don't want to say the less human you become. It's almost like you feel less human. We were in a couples shelter, me and my husband, in December to April, that we really liked. We would have stayed there until we got our housing, but the city closed it down. I met Cassidy, and thank God for them, like, you know, because they're still allowed to come out and do their thing, but.
Today we are doing outreach. We're at an encampment, just build relationships with people, checking in on people, bringing them water, bringing them food, with a whole bunch of folks who we know and folks who we've been working on housing with for quite a while. The process is very slow. In heels? Girl, hell yeah.
We have housing that we've been applied for, but we finally got our phone call and we're meeting and doing our paperwork. So hopefully very soon. You know, even though we're homeless or we're addict, we're still human. I started using after my son was born. I got postpartum depression. That was in '04. And it was when they were throwing pills at people. So then I got clean for 13 years. And then my stepson died, and here we are. So. This time has been since 2018. I was a healthcare worker, and I lost my job. We lost our house, and it was all like in the middle of COVID. We don't even get high anymore. It's not a getting high. It's just so we're not sick. You know, like maintaining is a good word. Like you just want to feel normal. And this stuff is a lot harder to get off of than back the first time, because the first time was heroin.
Xylazine is a diabolical substance. It can cause blood infections, it can cause wounds. The substance basically destroys the tissue. So we're dealing with a lot of necrotic tissue that is very difficult to treat. So the best option is to amputate as a means to save their life overall.
The tranquilizer drug creates wounds that don't heal very well, and I got those on the inside. So I got them on my lungs and my kidney. I ended up with an abscess that popped on my lung. I was only out of jail for 2 weeks, back on the streets, and I go to the hospital. Ended up with a chest tube for a month. I started drinking and drugging at 16, daily. From the first time I started using intravenous drugs and cocaine, that just became like the most important thing in my life. I had had the same job for about 5 years. I got fired. I hadn't been paying my rent for a while, so my landlord had filed an eviction notice. I started just like rapidly getting arrested. It was just like this swinging door in and out of jail. While I was sober and while I was confined, I wanted to continue to feel like that. I couldn't reach a social worker. There were no resources provided. No one was asking me, do you have a place to go when we release you? Do you have a plan? Do you have family? How are you gonna maintain this? You just get your name called and the doors open. I had never been sober as an adult out in the wild. And so I would get released and go right back to the people I knew, the places I had been sleeping, and ultimately there would be drugs there and I would make a decision to use again.
Well, people will say we should force them into treatment.
Well, that's not going to help anyone. If someone goes to treatment and they don't have a stable place to go when they leave treatment, doesn't matter how successfully they have stopped using in treatment, it's not a sustainable system. A lot of people aren't ready throwing someone into treatment without addressing any potential mental health stuff that they have and they know about, or that they have and they are not ready to deal with. Their treatment is not going to be successful either if like the root issues are not addressed.
If I'm not numbing my emotions, I'll drive myself crazy. That's another thing with Prevention Point. They got me into mental health so I can talk to a mental health doctor because, you know, I tried suicide 3 times before this, and a lot of people don't, you know, they say, oh, just stop using it. It's just not that easy, you know. I wish it was, but I actually did a whole year in jail. By the first week, I was back on heroin again. Coming back out of rehab and going right back on the streets, there was just no way that we were going to be able to stay sober. So that's the plan, is if we get approved for housing, is to go into a rehab beforehand and then, you know, go from there.
Yeah, being inside, to have a shower, like, oh my God, or to go to the bathroom in private. When you're inside, then you want to get a job, and then you want to, you know, get a car, and you want to, so in order to do those things, you kind of have to get clean, and that pushes you in that direction.
I just bought a house, which is crazy. I work with a civil legal aid as a paralegal. I do criminal record clearing and employment law. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm so grateful to have stability, to be able to like little things like make breakfast. And you know, my biggest pride is that like I have dogs that I can take care of today. I can care about something other than myself and have the ability to care for myself and for other things.
This video showed beyond a shadow of a doubt when people are treated with dignity, respect, shown unconditional love, that they can go from the streets to housing to even buying their own home. When politicians or your neighbors start fighting against harm reduction solutions, stand up. If you want to prevent and solve homelessness, you need to support harm reduction.